Welcome to English Vertex Podcast.
Improve your vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation with our engaging lessons.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Simple English Talks. I'm so happy you're here with us today.
Hey there! Great to see you all again. I actually mixed up two words just this morning while talking to a friend, so today's topic couldn't be more perfect.
Oh no, what happened?
I told my friend, my mom teaches me how to cook, but I meant to say learns, and she looked so confused.
That's such a common mix-up, honestly. It happens to so many learners and even to native speakers sometimes when they're tired.
Exactly. So today, we're going to clear up the difference between learn and teach once and for all.
By the end of this episode, you'll be able to use learn and teach correctly and confidently without stopping to think twice.
Here's a question for you while you listen. Have you ever mixed up learn and teach? Tell us about it in the comments below.
And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Simple English Talks. It really helps us keep making these episodes for you.
All right, let's jump right into the difference between these two words.
So let's start with the basics. Learn means to gain new knowledge or a new skill. The structure is simple. Subject plus learn plus a noun or how to plus a verb. For example, I learn English or she learns how to swim. Subject, learn, object.
Let's look at some real examples. I'm learning to play the guitar. He learned Spanish in college. They're learning how to cook Italian food. We learned so much from that trip. My son is learning how to ride a bike.
See how learn always focuses on the person who's receiving the knowledge? It's about you, gaining something new. Here's a personal example. I learned how to swim when I was already an adult, and honestly, it was terrifying at first.
Wait, really? You never learned as a kid?
Nope, I was scared of water for years, but I finally learned, and now I actually love swimming.
That's such a great example. Okay, here's a question for you at home. Can you finish this sentence? I recently learned how to...
Say it out loud right now. It's a great way to practice. Now let's move to teach. Teach means to give someone knowledge or a skill. The structure is subject plus teach plus a person plus a noun or how to plus a verb.
For example, I teach English, or she teaches me how to cook. Subject, teach, person, object.
Notice the difference here. With teach, there's always someone giving the knowledge to someone else. It's about passing something on.
My dad taught me how to drive. She teaches math at the local school. He's teaching his dog some new tricks.
We taught our neighbors how to make pasta. I'm teaching my sister how to use a computer. Here's the key difference in one simple sentence. You learn something yourself, but you teach something to someone else. Let's look at the negative forms now. I don't learn well under pressure. He doesn't teach on Fridays.
They didn't learn much from that class. She didn't teach us anything new today. Simple, right? Just add don't or doesn't before the verb, depending on the subject. Here's a can you question for you. Can you make a sentence with didn't learn and another one with doesn't teach? Pause for a second and try it out loud right now. So to quickly summarize this section, learn means gaining knowledge yourself, and teach means giving knowledge to someone else. Same idea, but from two completely different directions. Now let's build on this, because there's actually a really common mix-up point that trips up a lot of learners.
Right, and it's this idea that in some languages, one single word covers both meanings. But in English, we always need to choose the correct direction.
There's also a related word worth mentioning here. Teacher versus learner. A teacher is the person who shares knowledge, and a learner is the person who receives it. For example, I've been a language learner for 3 years now. Or she's an experienced teacher of French. You can even be both at the same time in different areas of your life. I'm a learner when it comes to cooking, but I'm a teacher when it comes to English.
That's such a nice way to think about it. Everyone plays both roles at different points, depending on the situation.
Let's look at a real-life situation. Imagine a mother and her daughter in the kitchen.
The daughter could say, "My mom is teaching me how to bake." And the mom could say, "I'm teaching my daughter how to bake."
But the daughter could also say, "I'm learning how to bake from my mom." Same situation, but two different verbs, depending on whose perspective we're describing.
That's such a clear way to see it. The person gaining the skill uses learn, and the person giving the skill uses teach.
Let's compare formal and informal usage too. In a classroom setting, a teacher might formally say, "I teach English literature at this university."
But casually, with friends, you'd more likely hear something like, "I teach English," or even just, "I'm a teacher."
And for learn, formally you might hear, "I am currently learning conversational French." Casually, you'd just say, "I'm learning French."
Here's a quick practice activity for you. Try describing your own English learning journey using both learn and teach, if it applies to you.
For example, I'm learning English from this podcast, and one day I hope to teach it to my own kids.
Beautiful example. Now, here are some quick tips. First, always ask yourself, who is gaining the new skill? That person uses learn.
Second, always ask, who is giving or sharing the skill? That person uses teach.
Third, remember that teach almost always needs an object, meaning a person who receives the knowledge, while learn can stand alone or take a subject only.
For example, you can simply say, "I'm learning," with no object at all. But it sounds incomplete to just say, "I'm teaching," without mentioning who you're teaching, unless the context is very clear.
That's such an important distinction. Try writing your own sentence using learn alone and another one using teach with a clear object in the comments below.
So, to review the key points here, learn is about receiving knowledge. Teach is about giving it. And remember to always think about direction. Who is gaining and who is sharing?
Now, let's move into something practical, using learn and teach together with related expressions.
Let's talk about how these two words show up in common idioms and everyday expressions, because English speakers use them constantly outside of just grammar lessons.
Exactly. This is where things get really interesting and really natural sounding.
Let's start with learn from your mistakes. This is such a common phrase, and it means gaining wisdom or improving after doing something wrong.
For example, don't worry about failing. Just learn from your mistakes. Or, she learned from her mistakes and did better the next time.
I use this phrase all the time with myself, honestly. Whenever I mess something up, I try to remind myself, this is just a chance to learn from my mistakes.
That's such a healthy mindset. Here's a real-life dialogue example. Imagine two coworkers after a small mistake at work.
I can't believe I sent that email to the wrong client. It's okay. Everyone messes up sometimes. Just learn from it and move forward. See how naturally that flows? It's exactly how real people encourage each other in English.
Now let's look at teach someone a lesson. This phrase can actually have two different meanings, depending on the tone.
In a positive way, it can mean helping someone understand something important. That experience really taught me a lesson about patience. But it can also sound a little more serious or even a bit threatening, depending on tone. Like, I'm going to teach him a lesson, meaning to punish or correct someone's bad behavior. Here's a tip for politeness and naturalness. If you're using teach someone a lesson in a serious tone, be careful because it can sound aggressive in certain situations.
Good point. It's really important to think about tone and delivery here. Saying it calmly, like, life taught me a valuable lesson, sounds thoughtful and reflective.
But saying it sharply, like, "I'll teach you a lesson," can sound like a warning or even an argument starting.
Let's do a quick interactive mini practice. I'll describe a situation, and you two think about the tone that fits best.
Situation 1. Someone cheated in a friendly board game. You might jokingly say, "I'm going to teach them a lesson next time," in a playful tone.
Situation 2.
You failed an important exam.
You might say more seriously and reflectively, "This really taught me a lesson about studying earlier."
Try saying both of those out loud right now with 2 completely different tones, playful and reflective.
Encourage yourself to really play with your voice here. It makes such a big difference in how natural you sound.
One more useful expression is self-taught. It describes someone who learned a skill on their own without a formal teacher. For example, "He's a self-taught painter," or "I'm completely self-taught when it comes to cooking." This is such a great word for describing hobbies or skills you picked up on your own, maybe from videos or books.
So to review this whole section, we talked about learning from mistakes, teaching someone a lesson, and being self-taught. These are all natural, everyday ways these 2 words show up beyond basic grammar.
Okay, I have to admit something. When I was younger, I used to say "teach me English" to this podcast, when I actually meant "help me learn English." A small mix-up, but it happens constantly.
Honestly, we all make mistakes like this. Let's go through a few common ones that learners often make with learn and teach.
Mistake number 1, using teach when you mean learn. Incorrect. I want to teach English. Correct. I want to learn English. Unless you're actually planning to become a teacher.
The reason this happens is that in many languages, one word can mean both. So learners naturally translate directly without realizing English separates the 2 directions.
Mistake number 2, forgetting the object with teach. Incorrect. She teaches every day. Correct. She teaches students every day. Or she teaches every day at school, giving more context.
While this isn't always wrong, it can sound incomplete without more context about who or what she teaches.
Mistake number 3, saying learn someone something. Incorrect. Can you learn me how to dance? Correct. Can you teach me how to dance?
This mix-up happens because in casual Old English or some dialects, learn was sometimes used this way. But in standard modern English, only teach works when giving a skill to someone else.
Mistake number 4, confusing learn with study. Incorrect. I'm learning for my exam right now. Correct. I'm studying for my exam right now. Study means the active process of preparing, while learn is more about the result, gaining the knowledge itself. You study in order to learn. Here's a funny one from my own life. I once confidently told my cousin, "I'll learn you how to cook," trying to sound extra friendly, and she just laughed and gently corrected me.
That's amazing, honestly. Mistakes like that are what make language learning memorable and even a little funny to look back on.
Try practicing this sentence pair out loud. First, say the incorrect version, then the correct one. Can you learn me? Can you teach me? And remember, making these mistakes is completely normal. Even native English speakers sometimes slip up with tricky word pairs in other situations. The most important thing is to keep practicing and keep speaking, even when it's not perfect yet.
Absolutely. Mistakes are proof that you're actually trying, and that's the most important part of learning any language. Here's one final mistake worth mentioning. Some learners say learn when describing a class subject, like I learn math, instead of the more natural I study math or I'm learning math. The difference is subtle, but I study math describes your subject in school,
while I'm learning math describes the ongoing process of gaining that knowledge right now. So just remember, context really matters here, and both can be correct depending on what exactly you want to express.
And if you're ever unsure which word fits, a great trick is to ask yourself, am I the one gaining knowledge or am I the one giving it? That question almost always gives you the right answer.
That's such good advice. The more you practice asking yourself that question, the more automatic it becomes over time. All right, let's move on to some fun, interactive practice. Let's do our favorite activity, choose the correct sentence. I'll read 2 options and think about which one sounds more natural. Situation 1. A. I want to teach Spanish this year. B. I want to learn Spanish this year.
It really depends on the intention, but if you mean gaining the skill yourself, option B is correct.
Situation 2. A. Can you learn me how to swim? B. Can you teach me how to swim?
Option B is correct. Remember, only teach works when giving a skill to someone else.
Situation 3. A. She's a self-learned artist. B. She's a self-taught artist.
Option B. Self-taught is the natural, correct expression here.
Situation 4. A. He teaches from his mistakes. B. He learns from his mistakes.
Option B, since he's the one gaining the wisdom from the experience.
Situation 5. A. I'm studying how to ride a bike. B. I'm learning how to ride a bike.
Option B sounds much more natural, since riding a bike is a skill, not something you typically study.
Great job if you got those right. Try saying each correct sentence out loud one more time, just to build that muscle memory.
We can also add some variations here. Try saying situation 5 in a formal tone, like an interview, and then in a super casual tone, like you're texting a friend.
Formal. I am currently in the process of learning how to ride a bicycle. Casual. I'm learning to ride a bike, finally.
See how the meaning stays the same, but the tone completely changes?
Now here's a challenge for you. Create your own sentence using either learn or teach based on something happening in your real life right now.
Write it in the comments. We would genuinely love to read your sentences.
And remember, the goal here isn't perfect grammar every single time. It's real conversation and confidence. Exactly. Speaking naturally matters so much more than being perfect. Keep that in mind every time you practice. Wow, what an amazing episode today. Let's do a quick summary of everything we covered.
We covered 3 main things. First, the basic difference. Learn means gaining knowledge yourself, while teach means giving knowledge to someone else.
Second, natural expressions like learn from your mistakes, teach someone a lesson, and being self-taught. And third, the most common mistakes learners make, and the simple trick of asking yourself who's gaining the knowledge and who's giving it. You did such a great job today. And honestly, just by listening and practicing along with us, you're already improving your English. Here's a reflective question for you. Is there something you'd love to learn one day? Or something you'd love to teach someone else? Take a moment, think it through, and definitely share it with us in the comments. And of course, don't forget to like this video, share it with a friend who's learning English, and subscribe to Simple English Talks so you never miss an episode.
We put so much love into these episodes, and your support genuinely means the world to us.
Keep practicing, keep speaking out loud, and remember that every small step brings you closer to fluency.
Thank you all so much for spending this time with us today. See you next time.